What's good, YouTube? Make America Lit here, back with another NBA 2K24 video. And in today's video, we're actually going to be discussing the sweet spot of attributes in NBA 2K24 for Season 1. Now, the reason why I am, emphasizing Season 1, because we know the game will get patches, it will get updates, it will get hot fixes. Certain things will be buffed, certain things will be nerfed. So as of right now, Season 1 patch, 2 I think we're on. These are the sweet spot for attributes in my opinion. Now, last year, I really did this, but it was mostly focused on like the skilled attributes, even though I put in, the sweet spot for physical attributes as well too. But I will say that this year, physicals matter more than ever. I told you guys last year that physicals matter, but because you need physicals to unlock certain badges and whatnot, it matters even more now, this year. Having a 99 vertical would make chase down artists function a lot better back in like NBA 2K23, but it wasn't needed to unlock chase down artists last year. Now you need acceleration or speed and block and vertical and stamina and stuff to unlock these badges. So physicals definitely matter even more. They're very vital to your build, not just playing better, but also unlocking the badges to make you play that playstyle you want. I also want to let you guys know that this is going to be one of my longer videos, as I'm going to be going through each individual attribute, and I'll be telling you guys the reason why I went with that, or why I think it is the sweet spot or whatever. So keep in mind this video will be pretty long, but I will include timestamps for each and every attribute. So for some of you who only care about big man attributes, or maybe you only care about defense or physicals or playmaking or whatever it is that you care about, you will be able to just click on that timestamp and just jump around to each attribute and find what, the information and stuff that you need. You don't have to sit through the whole video if you don't want to watch the whole video. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, the first attribute we're going to actually be talking about is close shot. Now, the main reason why I went with a 77 for the sweet spot for close shot is because you get, and a lot of these attributes is going to be about getting your bang for your buck, not just with the attribute, but also with the badges that you can unlock. So as you see here, you're going to be unlocking, bronze fast twitch, silver masher, gold pro touch, gold giant slayer, and bronze whistle with just a 77 close shot. Now, this to me is just overall the, best or the sweet spot that you can go for close shot, just because, one, like I said, the badges that you can obtain, the only badges that you're really going to be missing are like post up, badges like Dream Shake, Hook Specialist, and Post Fade Phenom. And more importantly, the only badges you're going to really be missing are badges that aren't just affected by close shot. These are also badges that require you to get something else. Fearless Finisher requires your strength. Spot Finder requires acceleration. Dream Shake requires, I think, post control. Yeah, post control. Hook Specialist requires post control, post fade. All of these other badges that you don't see unlocked here also requires some other attributes. So I'm also just taking into consideration just what close shot actually affects by itself, like fast twitch, masher, pro touch. Now, obviously, you can get these badges with other things like close shot or layup, but you can get them also with just your close shot. And you see that the impact that has, the bronze fast twitch, the silver masher. And when you go up, you won't receive a boost anywhere else for these badges until you hit 80. Going up 3 points, you will get Hall of Fame Pro Touch. So for big men, I would say that's probably more so the sweet spot you should be trying to aim for. But for everybody else, you really can just get away with a 77. If you go too low, you see that you start losing a lot of these badges. You lose Whistle. You see you losing Giant Slayer on gold. You're also losing Masher on silver. So I think 77 is a really good balance. It's not too high. It's still high enough for you to finish down low, whether you're doing a pick and roll, whether you're just, coming into the paint and pump faking and then going up, whether you're just trying to post up on a smaller player. 77 is nice, And our next attribute is, of course, driving layup. And just like close shot, my opinion, the sweet spot is a 77 for driving layup. Now, for the sake of this, I put my strength and my vertical on a 70 just so that we could see what other badges we unlocked. Just so you guys can see, with the 70 and that layup, we'll unlock Silver Aerial Wizard. And with the 77, and that 70 strength, we'll unlock Bronze Fearless Finisher as well too. Just those are the only two badges that these attributes are going to impact, strength and vertical, for our layup anyway. But moving on, you see that threshold, the badges that you unlock, it's once again like a nice threshold. You're just right off the cusp of being an 80 layup. But even with the 77, you see that the badges you have: Fearless Finisher Bronze, Slithery Bronze, you're rocking Silver Acrobat, Silver Bunny, and then pretty much every single layup badge you need or want will be gold. You'll have Pro Touch, you'll have Scooper, Float Game, Giant Slayer, Spin Cycle, Two Step, and even Bronze Whistle. So in my opinion, this really is like the best sweet spot that you can get without overcommitting on your layup. Now, I know this year everybody feel like layups are super powerful. They're way better and more consistent than dunks. So I know many of you are probably going to go overcommitting on your layup and go higher than a 77. But for those of you who care more about maybe playmaking or defense or shooting, or you just want to put your attributes elsewhere and you don't want to overcommit into finishing, a 77 is very nice. You see the badges that you're going to get, and these are all gold badges, and you'll be able to score any type of way you want. Whether you want to do a hop step, whether you want to do a euro, whether you want to do a spin, whether you want to float, whether you want to lay the ball up, whether you want to catch alley-oops, you will be able to do all of those. Whether you want Slithery to avoid contact or you want Fearless Finisher to go through contact, you will be able to do every single thing, as well as catch alley-oops with Silver Aerial Wizard. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel like the 77 is really the sweet spot for the driving layup this year. Now, our next attribute is, of course, driving dunk. And driving dunk, I went with a 75. Now, we all know that everybody feels like driving layups, are back. Laying the ball up is actually very viable this year, at least until they nerf or buff blocks or interior defense. Right now, the layups are where it's at. So a lot of people are shying away from, maxing out their driving dunk or going too crazy on driving dunk. And more people are being committed to their layup and putting their layup in, instead. Now, for me, I kind of want to future-proof my builds. So I still wouldn't do that, just because you never know when Mike Wang and anybody else at 2K decide to flip the switch on us, and now layups are useless because everybody's blocking everything, and now you need an 85 or 80 driving dunk to get the decent dunk animations and stuff, or you just need a 70 plus driving dunk to, finish down low because layups are getting smacked and beat off the backboard. I'm always in favor of thinking ahead. You have to remember that just because something is viable or OP in Season 1, it could go from being the best thing in Season 1 to being absolutely trash in Season 2, to back to being pretty much the most OP thing in Season 3, and then being worthless in Season 4. So, as the game goes on, patches, updates, buffs, nerfs, hot fixes, and all of that stuff, it's going to change. Now, for me, 75 driving dunk, I feel like is right on the cusp of that 80 driving dunk. You're not going to be overcommitting, but you will still be able to get some decent, one-hand dunks off 1 foot, dunks off 2 foot, animations. And, keep in mind, I did put a 70 strength and a 70 vertical on there, but you see what we'll be having with just that 75 driving dunk, that bronze posterizer, which is very important for actually finishing dunks in traffic. Because as you know, a lot of times you try to dunk in traffic and the ball will rim out, pop out, or whatever, and you'll miss. You want at least a minimum of bronze posterizer so you can finish dunks in traffic, and you're going to need at least a 73 driving dunk for that. So, 75, you probably can go down to 73 if you want, but as you can see, you're going to miss out on some of these badges right here going to 75. So just for a 2-point difference, you'll see you'll get Silver Aerial Wizard. You'll also get Gold Spin Cycle, and you'll also get Bronze Whistle as well too. So that right there is the major difference between just shooting for that 73 for bronze posterizer and then just going an extra 2 more points and just go ahead and picking up 3 levels of a badge, because you're picking up bronze whistle, you're picking up silver aerial wizard, and you're also picking up gold spin cycle, which is very useful when it comes to driving and laying the ball up and stuff. So that's the reason why I went with a 75 for the driving dunk. Now the next attribute that we're going to be talking about is standing dunk. Now, as you see, standing dunk is actually going to be our first attribute that actually breaks that 80 or 70, I should say, field, as far as attributes go. So far, every attribute has been under 80, in the 70s somewhere. This is actually our first attribute where we're actually going to go above the 70s in that 80 territory at an 81 standing dunk. Now, as you can see right here, these are the main badges that standing dunk will affect: precision dunker, aerial wizard, fast twitch, and rise up. And you can obviously see automatically why I went with an 81 standing dunk. Now, it is a little bit costly at 81. We're, kind of on the way to that 90, 99, area. Usually the sweet spots are in the 70s where you could get the best bang for your buck. But in my opinion, 81 is really where you want to go. Mostly for bigs. Obviously, if you are a guard build, then you can kind of go way lower than this. In my opinion, if you're a guard, you probably want to go around like a 47 just so you could get the standing dunk animations, which I always, tell you guys to try to strive for on this channel. Always try to reach that 47 standing dunk threshold so you could get those standing dunks, because they took limitless takeoff off, limitless takeoff out of the game. I mean, that, those standing dunk animations kind of, are cheesy and a little hard to block for most people. Unless you have a high level of anchor or you have impeccable timing, it's a little hard to make people miss those standing dunk animations. So that's why I tell you guys to try to get that 47 standing. Now, for everybody else, small forwards, power forwards, centers, that 81 standing dunk is really what you want to be going for. You see the silver aerial wizard, you see the bronze fast twitch that you will unlock, just from having that. And then you also see that silver rise up that you're going to get at an 81, as well as that silver precision dunker, which is going to go crazy, because the meter dunking on standing dunks this year that I've seen so far in the rec has been just absolutely ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying that silver alone, you're going to be just dunking everybody, putting everybody in the rim, but just the meter dunks alone this year on the standing dunks are kind of OP. So having anywhere, between that silver and gold level on your precision dunker, you want that so you can get those meter dunks at least consistently, where you're not bricking them or your meter isn't big enough for you to green those consistently. So that's why I went with an 81 on the standing dunk. Now, for our next attribute, we're looking at post control. Now, post control affects, 3 major badges, which is unpluckable, drop stepper, and post spin technician. Now, you can use post control to go out there and grab unpluckable because it is cheaper, because a 92 post control for gold unpluckable will put you at a 40 overall for a big, whereas a 92 ball handle, which is needed to get gold unpluckable, will put you at a 63 overall for a guard. So, while it does impact some good badges, 2 out of 3 of those aren't even vital unless you're on a big man build. So for smaller guards, unless you want a post scoring build that could utilize like post fade phenom, there's really no need to even worry about post control. Now, for everybody else, taller guards, 2 guards, wings, big man who want to utilize the post game, 75 would be the best bang for your buck based on the badges. Okay, because gold post fade phenom at such a low rating, you really can't beat that. A lot of gold badges usually have higher attribute requirements. We're usually talking about in the 80s, and for some even in the 90s, like gold unpluckable, gold anchor. A lot of those badges that are on gold, gold posterizer and stuff, acrobat, requires you to get up there in the 80s and the 90s to get those gold badges. For you to get such a good scoring badge like gold post fade phenom at such a low level of just a 75 post control, in my opinion, that's a W for sure. And even the attribute itself at 75 isn't bad at all, Okay, now, so we're on to the shooting attributes. Now, the first attribute we're going to talk about is the mid-range. Now, mid-range is going to be one of those attributes where we actually have a minimum and a sweet spot. Now, in my opinion, the minimum you should be shooting for is a 72. As you see here, you look at the badges you're going to be unlocking. The bang for buck that you get for a 72 is pretty sweet. You're looking at silver guard up, silver midi magician, silver open looks, silver comeback kid, bronze space creator, bronze green machine, silver catch and shoot, which is going to go crazy. You know, silver catch and shoot has been the sweet spot for catch and shoot for like the last 3 years of NBA 2K. And then also bronze blinders at just a 72 mid-range. Like, you can't beat that, you know. And that right there is just the minimum. That's what I think that you should shoot for on any build where you want to be able to shoot a mid-range shot or just be able to shoot on that build and space the floor and stuff. You want to shoot for a minimum of a 72. Now, in my opinion, the sweet spot where this really, the attribute really goes crazy is a 76. As you can see, as we bump this up to boom, a 76. Now you see the badges that we're working with. We're looking at gold comeback kid. We're still looking at silver open looks, midi magician, and guard up. But now we're looking at silver space creator. We're looking at silver green machine. We're looking at bronze deadeye as well as bronze blinders to go with that, along with that silver catch and shoot. So for me, the sweet spot is a 76. And on top of that, you won't see a jump in badges until you hit 82. So that's why I feel like 76 is where you get that last jump in badge levels. You know, as we bring that down from 72, you see from 4 points, you're getting Deadeye, you're getting, you know, Gold Comeback Kid, you know, all of these badges, Silver Green Machine, which goes crazy. But, you know, you won't see a jump just for those 4 points. You see the jump that we get from 72 to 76, but you won't see another jump in badge levels or anything like that until you hit an 82 mid-range. So I'm gonna go up to 77. We'll go up to 78. You don't see any badges going up. I'll go up to 79. We'll go up to 80. You still don't see no badges moving. We'll go up to 81. You still don't see no badges moving. And then when we hit 82, you'll see we'll reach that threshold for gold catch and shoot. We'll reach that threshold for gold guard up. But you won't really see anything else jump. We're still at silver midi magician, open looks. We're still at silver space creator and green machine. So there's really no difference. We'll get gold catch and shoot and we'll get gold guard up. That is really the only difference between that 82 mid-range and that 76 mid-range. So I'm going to just show you guys one more time. And that's what? Almost 6 points that you're going up to get that just for 2 gold badges. Now, don't get me wrong. Gold catch and shoot is a really good badge. You know, gold guard up is really good as well too for stopping people from contesting your shot or late contest or whatever. But I just feel like it's just not worth that price point when you can go with a 76 and save those 6 points and put those elsewhere and still be just as good of a shooter, you know, from the mid-range. You know what I mean? So that right there is the sweet spot for mid-range. Now, the next attribute that we're going to be talking about is the three-point shot attribute. Now, as you can see, I have 79 as the sweet spot for the 3-ball because you see the badges that you get access to with a 79 3-ball. You see you have access to silver blinders, silver catch and shoot. You get bronze deadeye, bronze agent 3, silver corner specialist, silver green machine, space creator, claymore, guard up, open looks, and gold comeback kid, as well as bronze whistle. You just get a absolute bevy of badges. Now, majority of them are, of course, only silver, but silver, even on a budget type of build where you just want just enough shooting where you can space the floor and keep the defense honest, I feel like 79 is that sweet spot. You could go a little bit lower, you could go a little bit higher, but your best bang for buck is going to be a 79 3-ball. Now, like I said, you know, you can't go higher or lower depending on how good you are at shooting. But I do also want to preempt you guys and let you guys know that this attribute is a little bit more subjective because your 3-ball will not only impact the badges you get, as you see on the side of the screen, but it also affects or impacts the jump shot bases and the jump shot releases for custom jumpers that you will have access to, as well as the speed of your jump shot, that you will have access to. So please keep in mind that, yeah, I'm telling you guys that the threshold is a 79 for the sweet spot, But you might like a base that requires an 84 three ball. You might like a base with the max speed that requires an 85 or 83 three ball. So do keep that in mind when you are, in the builder and you're playing around with these attributes and the thresholds and trying to figure out what, works best for you. Please do keep that in mind, that this is going to impact the jumpers that you have access to and will be able to use. So that's why I say this is subjective. Personally, I think 79 is the sweet spot, but it might be a little bit higher, or it might even be a little bit lower for you, because you might be able to get by with, a little bit less. So do keep that in mind when creating your build. Now, moving on to our final and last shooting attribute, we are talking about the free throw rating. Now, for free throw, I feel like you need a minimum of a 71 just so you can reach that bronze threshold for bronze free points. I would also take into consideration possibly going higher, just because I feel like with the tweak to shooting that they did this year, you might need a little bit on the higher end of the 70s to shoot consistent percentage. Right now, I have a 70 free throw and I'm shooting around 76, 77% from free throw, which is kind of crazy to me, because last year I had a 70 free throw and I shot 96% from free throw in the rec, and I think I shot like 100% in career. But this year, free throws are just a little bit, harder to actually hit this year. I don't know if it was because they just completely revamped shooting, or if they just made just greening harder this year. But personally, I feel like the sweet spot, again, like I said, 71, just so you can get that bronze free points, slap that on and forget about it. But if you feel like you're struggling, you might want to shoot for the higher ends of the 70s, like a 76, 77, somewhere around that point. Okay, now moving on to our next attribute we're going to be talking about is pass accuracy. Now, as you can see on your screen, my sweet spot, for pass accuracy is a 77. And you see right here, the absolute bang for buck that you're getting with that 77. You're getting pretty much every single passing badge in the game on at a minimum of bronze, and you're getting half of those on silver. The only badge that you're really going to be missing out on is bailout, and you need 10 more points. So, that's not going to really be super cheap. It's cheaper than ball handle, but it's not going to be super cheap. You know what I mean? So if we're just talking about budgeting our attributes and trying to find that sweet spot for our best bang for buck that we can get as far as badges and actually having decent pass speed and stuff, 77 without a doubt. You see, you're going to have silver dimer, silver special delivery, silver break starter, and silver relay passer. And then at that 77, you also unlock that bronze needle threader, and you're also going to have bronze touch passer. Now, if you feel like 77 is still a little too high and you're like, whoa, can I save some points? Can I bring this down a little bit? At an absolute minimum, you can drop down to 74. And that right there, to me, is the absolute lowest that I would go on my pass accuracy. I really, would try not to go anything below than a 74. Now, obviously, if you're a center, a power forward, and you feel like, well, I don't really need pass accuracy too much, you can just dip down to a 70 and still get the main badges you need on bronze. You'll have bronze dimer, bronze special delivery, bronze break starter, and bronze relay passer. You'll be decent, as far as passing go, you'll have decent pass speed. This is probably the absolute bare minimum that you should be shooting for. Anything lower than this is kind of in, danger red category. Now, for centers, I feel like you guys really should be shooting for at least the 70s, low mid 70s for your pass accuracy. But I know a lot of y'all are like, well, we don't pass the ball like that. We don't get to touch the ball like that, so it doesn't really matter. Then, you could probably drop down to like a 60, and you're only going to have like relay passer and dimer. You're not going to really have anything crazy, no special delivery, no touch pass or break starter or anything like that. But me personally, I feel like even this is pushing it, just because the speed of your passes are going to be super floaty and slow at a 60. So that's why I try to tell people, shoot for at least a 70. If you shoot for a 70, not only do you have decent bronze badges, and these are bronze badges, so you don't even have to worry about grinding them, progressing them, regressing, or anything like that. You just have bronze badges, slap them on, and now you can pass, adequately, But just for 7 more points, or even 4 points, you see that you're going to have that silver dimer and that bronze touch passer. But even then, when you add on an extra 3 points to go to a 77, you see now you're running with silver badges and a couple of bronze, especially that bronze needle threader goes a long way. So that right there is the sweet spot I have for pass accuracy. Okay, now moving on to our next attribute, we have ball handle. Now, ball handle, I'm going to make this short and simple because this is really a very, very subjective attribute, just like your 3-point rating. You know, this is going to impact not just your badges that you can get, you know, whether you can momentum and things of that nature, but it's also going to affect like the animations that you can unlock, the dribble moves, the behind the backs, the size ups and stuff, the crossovers that you can get. So some people like certain animations, so it's hard for me to just give you guys a just clear-cut threshold that you should shoot for, because you know you might need this crossover, or you might need this behind the back, or you might need this signature size up or breakdown, or you might need this you know, spin move to like move or play how you feel comfortable playing. So again, this is very subjective. Now I can give you, you know, in the ballpark area for the sweet spot just based off of badges, which I'm going to give you guys, but again, like I said, this is entirely subjective. Now, with that being said, for off-ball players, slashers, I feel like this 75 threshold is actually pretty nice. Now, you see I got an 80 speed, a 80 acceleration, a 67 strength, a 70 vert, and a 95 stamina just for this purpose or whatever, just to show you what badges you would unlock with these stats. And I feel like these stats are average. Most people are running with an 80 speed, acceleration, and stuff. So I just want to show that just to show these are going to be what you unlock at these thresholds. Now, you might have higher speed and acceleration. You might get higher badges at a 75 ball handle than somebody else. You know, that's on you depending on how your physicals are, but this is just what I'm using just to show an example. Now, moving back up, you see that 75 ball handle. We're looking at bronze handles for days, killer combos, bronze unpluckable, bronze triple strike, silver physical handles, and silver ankle breaker. Now, this is decent, like I said, for the off-ball player. A slasher, a guy who's mainly going to be getting to the rim. You're not going to really be doing too many size up, dribble moves, or anything like that. You're not the primary ball handler. You're a shooting guard or small forward that's playing off ball, or even a power forward, you know, playing off ball. 75 ball handle is adequate for when you get chased off that 3-point line. You're trying to spot up. They chase you off the 3-point line. 75 ball handle, you'll be able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. You don't have to worry about getting ripped, the ball poked loose. You not being able to put the ball on the floor at all. Now, we know steals are kind of crazy right now, and I do believe that eventually they will nerf it or they will buff unpluckable. So we went through this already in 2K23, so we already know it's going to take them like 3 months to buff it or nerf it, just like it took them 3 or 4 months to do it in 2K23. But I'm just saying, you don't want to overspend on ball handle on an off-ball build when you can use those attributes elsewhere. So again, you don't want to spend 85, 90 on ball handle and then 2 months from now or 2 patches later, ball handling is fine and you can get by with a 75 ball handle if you're an off-ball build, you know? So do keep that in mind. Now, for a secondary ball handler, shooting guard, small forward, that's like, you know, a secondary ball handler. If the point guard is getting clamped or turning the ball over, now you need to run point, I would bump this up to an 80. Now, at an 80 ball handle, you see some of our badges are going to go up. You see that, you know, silver handles for days. You see that bronze killer combo still there. You see that silver unpluckable go up. And that's really the main 2 badges that you see go up, handles for days and unpluckable. Now, I'm going to raise the stamina just a little bit so we can get, you know, handles for days on gold when we go up to the next level. But this is the secondary ball handler. Now, really much didn't change except our unpluckable is better and our handles for days are better. And as a secondary ball handler, you don't need Hall of Fame or gold unpluckable or handles for days, because your, you know, your workload isn't going to be the run the point. You know, you're the secondary ball handler. When the lock is on the point or the point can't get loose, that's when you step up and you're going to be that secondary ball handler or whatnot or whatever. Or maybe you're not hitting your shots. You want to play on ball, the PG go and play off ball and spot up. That will work as well too. You don't need to overcommit or whatever, you know, as far as the ball handler and the badges. Now, finally, for the primary ball handlers, yo, I feel like everybody should be shooting for at a minimum, like, and I know this is going to be expensive. It's going to be one of the most expensive attributes we have here. But at a minimum, you should be shooting for 92 ball handle. Like, I know some of y'all might be saying that, oh, well, we could get by with an 88 or an 87 or whatever, and maybe you can, but I just feel like you can't be trying to run, primary, the one ball handle, primary handler or whatever, and not have at a minimum gold unpluckable and gold handles for days. And you see the other badges, you're going to unlock silver killer combos. You're unlocking speed booster, blow by, triple strike on silver. And of course, this is just at an 80 speed and an 80 acceleration. For those of you who are going to have way higher speed and acceleration, a lot of these badges are also going to be on gold. They're not even going to be, silver. So do keep that in mind as well too. But this is just the threshold or sweet spot that I have for ball handle. Like I said, for off ball, 75, slashers, 75, secondary ball handlers, 80, and then for primary ball handlers, you definitely want to reach that 92 threshold. Now, moving on to our next attribute, we have speed with ball. Now, once again, this is another one of these subjective attributes. This year's speed with ball not only impacts your badges now, but it also impacts your dribble style and animations you can get, which makes it pretty important because it's very vital for how a lot of people play. If you can't get this person's dribble style, you can't get that person's dribble style, you can't get this behind the back or size up or whatever. So ball handle isn't just the most important, playmaking attribute now, because now speed with ball is also taken into consideration when it comes to which of these animations that you can get. Now, normally I would tell you guys to forget speed with ball and focus on acceleration, as it's more impactful to, beating people off the dribble. Acceleration, quick first step, or, speed booster, as it is called now in 2K24, that's more important. But this year, I think the sweet spot is really entirely on you. I could give you guys a general sweet spot that might work for me, or it might work for this person, it might work for that person, but this is one of those attributes that's entirely dependent on your playstyle and the animations that you like to use. So I'm personally not going to give you guys a sweet spot. I'm going to let you guys figure this out on your own. If you decide that you want, Jordan's dribble style or LeBron's dribble style, John Wall, whoever's dribble style, speed with ball is going to play a part in that. Same thing with the ball handle. If you want Magic Johnson's style or whatever, you're going to have to figure out what works best for you and your animations and how you want to run that setup. Now, the next attribute that we're going to be talking about is interior defense. Now, for non-big man builds, interior defense doesn't really help you too much, because you're not going to really be in the paint, or anything like that too much. You're mainly going to be on the perimeter. If you're a point guard, shooting guard, small forward. So for that reason alone, interior defense isn't as important to your builds. But, and there is a but, that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't shoot for anything on interior defense, because if you are 6'7", you meet the height requirement to unlock bronze anchor. And you should be aiming for at least a 61 interior defense. As you see on the screen, you need at least a 61. Let me move this down. You need at least a 61 interior defense with a 77 block to unlock bronze anchor. And just having bronze anchor goes a very, very long way. Okay? Having that badge will help you play better defense, in the paint. It will help bolster your interior defense, even if it's at a 61 or a 65 or a 70. It's going to help bolster your interior defense, and it's going to help you get better contest percentages while playing defense in the paint. So, while you're not going to be, Embiid or Rudy or, Shaq or anything in the paint, swatting shots and stuff, you still will be able to get good contest percentages on people's layups and shots to make them miss. Now, as far as big man builds, I feel like you guys should be all the way up to at least a minimum of 74. As a big man, you really shouldn't be dipping below a 74. So non-big man builds, 61 sweet spot. For big man builds, you shouldn't be anything lower than the 74. And you're going to see right here that when we reach 74, you're still only going to have bronze anchor. You're going to need an 87 block. So I'm assuming that you're going to have a higher block. Who knows? But we're just going to go with 74 interior, 77 block in these physicals for our example. Even with those physicals and that block rating, at a 74 interior defense, you're looking at silver workhorse and bronze post lockdown. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to help you with, again, playing defense down low for those big man builds. You're not going to just be getting moved around willy-nilly as far as, you know, drop steps, post spins, and, you know, up and unders and, you know, dream shakes and stuff. You're not going to just be getting cooked in the post because you're going to have at least bronze post lockdown. You're going to have whatever strength rating that you have. And you're also going to have bronze anchor to get those better contest percentages in the paint. Now, obviously, you want to have a higher interior defense if you're going to be, you know, the main center or the main paint presence. But this is just the absolute bare minimum. Like, you shouldn't have, as a big man, you should not have anything below this. Anything below this, and you are barbecue chicken in the paint, period. This is just, you know, like I said, a sweet spot for, you know, budget builds. If you like, all right, well, I'm primarily a shooter, I'm primarily a finisher, whatever it is that you know, build that you're making, you shouldn't be seeing, if you're a center or a power forward, you shouldn't be below a 74 interior defense by any means, okay? So that right there is our sweet spot for interior defense. Now, moving on to our next attribute, we have perimeter defense. Now, this is going to be one of the most important attributes because this is also, you know, tied in, you know, with 3-point, you know, mid-range, ball handle, and probably driving layup, driving dunk as some of the most important attributes that you can put on your build. Perimeter defense, to me, the sweet spot is a 76, and usually I would try to shoot for at least a 70 perimeter defense on most builds so we can at least be average on the perimeter. But the badges you net at 76 perimeter defense is just too good to pass up. And even just having these badges on bronze is enough to help bolster your defense on the perimeter to where you're not just a complete turnstile on the perimeter. You see, you're going to have bronze clamps, you're going to have ankle braces, you're going to have challenger, you're going to have fast feet, you're going to have pick dodger, you're going to have 94 feet, you're going to have workhorse, and you're going to have silver off-ball pass. Now, the main reason why I say that this is such a good setup just for, you know, those builds that are like primarily offense, like you're primarily the offensive scorer, but you need just a little bit of defense. You got a couple points left over. What do you put it in? Just go straight to your perimeter defense. Don't even worry about steal. Yeah, I know you see that this build doesn't have no steal, no glove, no interceptor, no right stick ripper. That's fine. All you're worried about is staying in front of your man. You know, ultimately, that's what a good defender does. A good defender ultimately stays in front of his man and stops his matchup from scoring. You don't have to go out there and get steals and blocks, and yeah, turnovers and stuff and takeaways are nice, and that would make you elite. But we're not worrying about being elite. We're worried about just being good to where we can stop our matchup. And that 76 perimeter defense is really the sweet spot, you know, where you don't overspend or overcommit to being a defensive build or putting too much points into defense. I feel like no matter what, you know, which way the game goes, whether they patch, they nerf, whatever, a 76 perimeter defense is still going to be 76 perimeter defense. You're still going to have clamps. You're still going to have challenger to affect shots. You're still going to have ankle braces to, you know, fight against ankle breaker. You're still going to have fast feet to stay in front of your man, 94 feet, pick dodger. You know what I mean? So to me, this is just the ultimate sweet spot for defense. This is what you know, at a minimum should be shooting for on your build. Anything below this, and then you start losing badges, 94 feet, you can't press, clamps, now dudes are just blowing past you with blow by and bulldozer. You go down to 73, now you don't have pick dodger, you're getting clapped on screens. And then as you just keep going, no more fast feet, no more workhorse. Now you're just down to challenger and ankle braces. You go down one more, now you don't have challenger, you can't even contest shots that much. And then once you go below a certain threshold in the 60s, you no longer have ankle braces. So now you're just an absolute turnstile on defense. You can't bump nobody because you don't have clamps. You can't, you know, just slide your feet and stay in front of them because you don't have 94 feet or fast feet or anything to press them or anything like that. So I just feel like just the bang for buck that you get with these badges even though they're bronze, and I know, yeah, man, like we try to shoot for silver and gold, but just the bang for buck that you get, even as a dude with a 90 something three, whatever, 90, whatever, drive and dunk, layup or whatever, cool, you can dribble, you can do all of that. But if you just shoot for that 76 perimeter defense, I'm telling you, you will be that much better. You know, you won't be a complete and total liability on defense. Now, the next attribute we're going to be talking about is steals. Now, steals are a very special attribute because they only have 3 badges that they can impact, and that is glove, interceptor, and right stick ripper. Now, me personally, depending on your playstyle, you may or may not need steal on your build. Now, for big men, you're not going to really be too much on the perimeter. The minimum, the absolute minimum that you should be shooting for steal is a 60. And the reason why I say a 60 is because you want to be able to play those passing lanes. You want to be able to get in front of those passes when they try to dump the ball down to their big man. You also want to be able to jump into the air and intercept those alley-oop passes. Now, you don't need interceptor to do that, but sometimes when you press square and somebody throws an alley-oop, your guy just reaches or swings and he doesn't jump into the air and intercept it like he would if he had the interceptor badge. So that's why I say you should try to shoot for a minimum of 60. Now, for everybody else who's going to be on the perimeter, the point guards, the shooting guards, the small forwards, and sometimes even the power forwards, the minimum threshold or sweet spot that you should be going for is a 72 steal. As you're going to see here, 72 steal will get you every single stealing badge possible in the game. 72 threshold to reach bronze glove. And then I think 70 threshold to reach right stick ripper. As you can see right here, you need a 70 for right stick ripper on bronze. You need 60 for interceptor. And then you need a 72 for glove. So a 72 is the absolute minimum sweet spot. In my opinion, that 72 will get you all 3 badges, and it will be bronze, so you don't have to worry about grinding or progressing right stick ripper, interceptor, glove, or anything, reaching, trying to spam people for steals so you could, you know, level up your badge or whatever. This is just the minimum, though. This is the bare minimum that you should be trying to reach for a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward build. Now, again, you could try to go for this threshold as a big man as well, too, because, of course, the more badges you have, the better, you know, you'll be able to play defense, obviously. But it's not super necessary because you won't find yourself on the perimeter too much. As a big man, I value perimeter defense more than steal. But like I said, you want to at least shoot for that 60 so you will be able to play those passing lanes. Now, the next attribute we're going to be talking about is, of course, our block attribute, okay? Now, the days of slapping on a 47 block for bronze chase down artists, you know what I'm saying, and going crazy, hawking people down, chasing people down with bronze chase down on a 6'1" guard, a 6-foot guard, getting crazy block animation, those days are long gone. That's not happening anymore. As you see on your screen, you know, the requirements for just even bronze chase down artists is a 50 speed, a 60 vertical, and a 68 block. So if you don't reach any of those requirements, you are not getting chase down artists. Simple as that, okay? That much is very simple. Now, here's the thing that I want to show you guys or tell you guys, and that is that I feel like the minimum, right? The minimum for block should be a 70, right? And that's what we're going with. We're going with just a 70 block, all right? And that's not like to reach or unlock any specific badges or anything. I just feel like if you want to consistently get blocks in this game, you want at least a minimum of a 70 on any build, whether you're a big man build, a guard build, a taller guard build, a wing build. If you're not rocking at least a 70, the blocks are kind of hit or miss. And that's always really been the case for 2K. Outside of the chase down artist badge being like, I don't know, just souped up or whatever, where even a 6'1" guard can chase you down and suck you into a block animation. Outside of that, you know, just consistently getting blocks, standing blocks or whatever, contesting shots and getting blocks, you just wasn't seeing that a lot, you know, if you didn't have at least a minimum of a 70 block. Now, keep in mind that, you know, having a higher vertical is also going to help you with getting those blocks and contests with jumping up or whatever. So do keep in mind that your vertical does matter, not just for unlocking these badges, but also for getting these stats like blocks and stuff, or dunks, posterizers and stuff. So don't, underestimate vertical, or your physical stats, because it does matter. Now, the 70 is just a minimum. I personally feel like the sweet spot is 77. As you already told you when talking about interior defense, you need a 61 interior defense to unlock bronze anchor. You also need to be at least 6'7" to unlock that anchor badge. But I feel like that 77 block rating is definitely where you want to be to, really take advantage of having a better block rating. So to me, that is the sweet spot for block a 77, but the absolute bare minimum would be a 70. Now, moving on to our next attribute we're going to be talking about, and that is offensive rebound. Now, a lot of people leave offensive rebound off their builds, which personally I think is a mistake, especially if you are a center or a power forward. Power forward, you probably can get away with leaving it off or lowering it, but as the center, the main rebounder for your team, that is a huge mistake. Second chances can be extremely vital to your team winning. Getting that offensive rebound, that O-board could really be the difference between, 1 point loss and a 2-point win, or 2-point loss, or even a 3-point win. Those second chances and extra possessions really do matter. The problem with offensive rebound is that it's only as good as your opponent's defensive rebound, because your offensive rebound will be going up against their defensive rebound. So if you have a 70 offensive rebound and your matchup has a 92 defensive rebound, then you're going to be combating that. That's what you're not going to have your defensive rebound, even if you have Hall of Fame rebound chaser, but you have a 70 offensive rebound or a 75 offensive rebound. It's still going to have to match up against their gold or Hall of Fame rebound chaser and their 99 defensive rebound or 92 defensive rebound. So that's why I will say that it's only as good as your opponent's defensive rebound, but with proper strength, box out beast, and proper positioning, you can still out rebound somebody for that offensive rebound. So it really comes down to your play style. Inside center, in the paint, pick and roll, on the block, you have more chances to go for an O board. Whereas if you're a shooting big that likes to sit on the hash or sit in the corner, you're not going to have too many opportunities to get that O board, because a lot of times you're going to be in the corner or on the wing somewhere, or setting a pick for somebody. You're not going to be in the paint to get that rebound. You're not really going to be fast enough to run in there and sneak in and grab an O board. You might be able to do that once or twice, but usually once that shot goes up and you're in the corner, you're probably running back on defense anyway. So again, O boards, really situational, and it really comes down to your play style. Inside center, you're more likely to be in the paint or near the paint. When I play on a build that has a really high offensive rebound, I like to just sit on the block down low, let my guys cook. If they, hopefully can score, they're not just rim runners, then I'll just sit down low on the block and wait for them to put up a shot. When they put up a shot, I'll sneak into the paint and grab an O board, pass it out, or go up with it if I have it. If not, then, I really wouldn't even bother with putting offensive rebound up. So as for the threshold or the sweet spot, I feel like anywhere between a 70 and a 75 is a good place to start with offensive rebound. Just so that you aren't absolutely just getting cooked when you try to go down there and get that O board. Anything below a 70 and you're not going to really be getting boards, even with good positioning and boxing out and stuff. A lot of times at a 60 or a 50, they're just going to snag the board over you, which is ridiculous because you have them boxed out. You have better positioning, but because they have a higher defensive rebound than your offensive rebound, and you guys both have rebound chasers, it's not going to really matter. They're going to get the board over you. So that's why I try to go around that 70 or 75 threshold. Now, moving on to our next attribute, we have our final skill attribute, and that is going to be defensive rebound. Now, a minimum of 60, defensive rebound will give you rebound chaser. Now, as a guard and even some wing builds, you can get by with just the 60, depending on, your vertical, depending on your strength for boxing out, and depending on your height and wingspan. A 60 defensive rebound with rebound chaser on bronze can go a long way. Now, for power forwards and centers, that is where, that sweet spot starts to rise as you're starting to be looked at as the primary rebounder for your team, depending on your build and depending on your matchups. Power forwards at a minimum should be shooting for around, I would say, an 83, just to net that silver rebound chaser. Whereas centers should be aiming for around an 87 to a 92. Now, me personally, I would go with a 92 just because I feel like most center builds are aiming for that 92 because they want that gold rebound chaser. That's usually, the sweet spot for rebounding is gold rebound chaser. So 92 is going to unfortunately be, that sweet spot. Now, I do think you can get by with an 87. Anywhere between 87 and 92, I think you can get by with silver rebound chaser. But again, that is entirely dependent on your height, your wingspan, your weight, your strength, and your vertical. All of those things matter when it comes into rebounding. Builds with higher strength and vertical, they can get away with running a lower rebound attribute, as the higher strength for boxing out and the higher vertical for jumping can compensate for the lower rebounding attribute and the lower level of rebound chaser. So that's why I say it really all depends on your build. Now we're moving on to our very first physical attribute, and that's going to be speed. Now, as you can see on the screen, speed is going to impact 3 badges. It's going to impact your speed booster badge, which is basically quick first step. It's going to impact your hyperdrive, and it's going to impact your chase down artist. Now, in my opinion, 82 is the sweet spot for speed, just because you see the highest level of badges that you can get with an 82 speed. You're looking at gold hyperdrive, gold chase down artist, and silver speed booster. Now, obviously, you need to reach other thresholds to get these badges at these levels, but just talking about the attribute speed that's needed, an 82 can unlock these levels of the badge. Now, do keep in mind that speed is also going to directly, impact your lateral quickness, because we don't have a lateral quickness. It's not tied to perimeter defense. It's actually tied to your speed. So how fast you move laterally on defense is going to be directly tied to your speed. And you want your speed to kind of match, if you can, the opponent's or your matchup's acceleration, because acceleration is what impacts your speed while dribbling or moving with the ball, and speed is your movement without the ball. So you want your speed to match their acceleration so you can keep up with them while they're moving with the ball. So that's why I would say 82 speed is really the sweet spot, not just for badges, but also for playing perimeter defense, having that lateral quickness and whatnot while playing defense. Now, the next attribute that we have that we're going to be talking about is acceleration. Now, unlike the speed attribute, acceleration is going to impact your speed with the ball, not without the ball like speed. So acceleration, in my opinion, is just a little bit more important this year, because it's going to not only impact how fast you move with the ball on offense, which is very, vital to scoring and getting open, but it also impacts more badges, as you can see right here as I'm showing you on the screen. Speed is only going to impact 2 offensive badges with speed booster and hyperdrive, and 1 defensive badge, chase down artist, where acceleration actually impacts a bevy of badges: blow by, speed booster, big driver, fast feet as a defensive badge, spot finder, triple strike, and slippery off ball. So acceleration is just slightly more valuable in my opinion. But even though it's slightly more valuable, I feel like you get the most bang for your buck at a 75 acceleration. Now, keep in mind, this is just a sweet spot. Obviously, you should reach whatever threshold you feel that you need required for whatever badges you want to get. So if you feel like you need a higher threshold for, silver speed booster or gold blow by or Hall of Fame big driver, then, obviously go for that. But I just feel like just for what you're getting at a 75, that's not too bad. Now, obviously, I don't have the perimeter defense up, so we probably would end up getting some level of fast feet as well, too. I'll put the perimeter defense up to a 75. I won't go too crazy on this. Actually, I'll put it up to a 76 because I did say that was the threshold for perimeter defense. And then you see with just the 76 perimeter defense, we have bronze fast feet, speed booster, blow by, triple strike, and slippery off ball. So that's not bad to say that we're only at a 75 acceleration. It won't be too costly, and you're only missing out on 2 badges. And I don't even think you're really missing out on Spot Finder. Spot Finder is just not selected because I didn't put any close shot, mid-range, or 3 on this build. If we put mid-range or 3 or anything like that, we'll put a 3 up to like 75. Let's see what we get. Silver Spot Finder. So even with the 75 acceleration, 75-3, we're looking at silver Spot Finder. So really the only badge that we're going to really miss out on is big driver, and that's only because we're on a 6'7" small forward. We're not 6'10" or taller, so we can't even get big driver. But to me, that 75 acceleration is a nice threshold. As you see, the badges that you're going to be getting: blow by, speed booster, fast feet, Spot Finder, triple strike, and slippery off ball. Now the next attribute we're going to be looking at is the strength attribute. Now, the strength attribute is very, very important this year, as strength is going to actually be tied to a lot of badges, not just on defense, but also on offense. Now, to me, for a guard build, point guard, shooting guard, I personally feel like, you know, the absolute minimum you should be shooting for on strength is a 74. And right here, I have just some minimum thresholds, as you see here. Nothing crazy, just some minimum thresholds and sweet spots that we talked about earlier in the video. And I'm just going to show you what badges that we will be getting with that 74 strength for guard builds. Now, you see, we're going to have bronze clamps. We're going to have fearless finisher. We're going to have bulldozer. We're going to have gold physical handles. We're going to have bronze box out beast, bronze brick wall, bronze immovable enforcer, and bronze back down punisher. The only badge we're not going to have is post lockdown, and that's only because we don't have a 74 interior defense, but we're on a guard build, so our interior defense wouldn't even be that high anyway. But you see the bevy of badges you're getting at just a 74 strength. Now, again, like I said, I know that these badges are only bronze, but we're just talking about strictly a sweet spot for budget type builds. If you don't want to invest too many points into strength because you need to make sure that you have a high speed or, you know, higher ball handling, this is what you should absolutely be shooting for. Now, do keep in mind that maybe you don't have a build that could even go higher on strength. Maybe you're playing on a build that's like 5'10" or something, 6'1", 6'2". Maybe you're playing on a low weight build, but, you know, you want to reach a threshold that is, you know, at least usable online. You want to look no further for that 74 strength, in my opinion. Now, for big men, you want to up that. You want to up that for your big men, your power forwards, your centers, and even for some of these small forward wing builds, you might want to go a little bit higher so that you could be a little bit stronger and just, you know, be able to play a little better defense, being able to bump people off of the ball, force them to pick the ball up and stuff. So for those builds, I would recommend going up to an 84 strength. At an 84 strength, you see how many badges we just see lit up to silver. You're looking at silver bulldozer. You're looking at silver brick wall, silver immovable enforcer, and silver back down punisher. And that's not even talking about these other badges that we could get if we increase those thresholds for like box out beast, or we, you know, up our layup a little bit. Like if we put our layup up to an 80, that'll be silver fearless finisher. If we up our perimeter defense, you know, that clamps would go up. So there's also other badges that could possibly go up as well too, to silver and gold tier when we up those other attributes. But just the strength alone, which is what we're talking about, that 84 strength, this is what you're getting, which isn't bad, you know, as a budget or, you know, sweet spot threshold for a power forward or even a center who isn't like the primary big man, or you're playing with another big man at all times where you don't have to worry about, I don't have a 99 strength or 99 box out or whatever. You know, this is just that sweet spot because you want to do other things. You want to have more shooting. You want to have more finishing, playmaking, or defense elsewhere. This to me is the sweet spot for strength. Now, moving on to our next attribute we're going to be talking about, and that is the vertical attribute. Now, again, I've seen a lot of people skimp out on vertical outside of people going for that threshold that they need for contact dunks. And like I told you guys last year in NBA 2K23, that, you know, don't cheap out on vertical. Don't cheap out on strength. These physicals are absolutely underrated. Vertical is extremely important, just like strength is. This year, vertical is still very important. And even if we don't even look at the badges that vertical ties to, you know what I'm saying? You just look at the description for vertical. It says it's used as a gate for dunk animations, and in combination with attribute counterparts allows a player to jump higher on rebounds and blocks. And that's the one thing I think a lot of people fail to understand. A lot of people see vertical and they just thinking about dunks, posters, contact dunk animations. I want the best dunks. I want the 360s and the contact dunks and the contacts off 1 and off 2 and the Zion dunk package and all of that stuff. And that's cool. But people don't realize that the higher your vertical, the higher you can jump, the more rebounds you will get, and the more blocks and block animations you will be able to get. So vertical is extremely important, not just on the offensive side of things like most people think, but also on the defensive side of things as well too. And with just a 75 vertical, these are the badges that you're going to be working with. You're looking at least bronze posterizer. Okay, you're looking at silver aerial wizard, and you're looking at bronze chase down artist with silver rise up as well too. Now, obviously, if we put, our block up to like a 78 right here, you see that we're at that 77 threshold for bronze anchor. But if we go up to a 78, that chase down artist will then jump to silver. But I'm going back to the threshold, which I told you guys for block, which was 77. And you see that we'll still have bronze chase down artists, which isn't nothing to, frown your nose at. You'll still be able to get some chase down blocks and unlock those chase down block animations, which is really important to getting those chase down blocks. But personally, I feel like at the minimum, you should be shooting for at least a 75 vertical just to make you competitive, not just for catching those contact dunks or posters or whatever, but also for rebounding and blocks. And now we are on to our final attribute, which is going to be stamina. Now, I just want to say that, for stamina, it's very, very important this year. In past years, stamina wasn't as important. It was important in 23 just because you wanted to make sure you had stamina so it didn't screw up with your jump shot timing. If you were tired, blinking, or anything like that, it vastly, switched your jump shot timing for your jumper to green. So people really didn't like having low staminas. Me personally, I felt like if you were on a slashing build, you could go a little bit lower on the stamina. If you were primarily on a shooting build, you wanted to go higher stamina. This year, you don't really have, that kind of, freedom, just because stamina is now directly tied into badges. Stamina is going to directly impact 3 badges, and that is handles for days, 94 feet, and the workhorse badge. Now, with that being said, I feel like the absolute minimum sweet spot for stamina is 93. As you can see, a 93 will net you silver handles for days, 94 feet, and workhorse. Now, if I'm being honest, yes, you can go to a 99, and you probably should, but you can get away with a 96. So that is the other sweet spot that I would recommend you guys go for. Now, because stamina is so, cheap, I would just really recommend that you go for a 96, but I just want to include that the minimum that you should go is 93. You should not go below a 93. As you see, you're going to lose silver handles for days. 93 gets you all 3 badges on silver at an absolute minimum. As long as you reach the other thresholds obviously needed for these, other badges like ball handle, speed, acceleration, and stuff. 93 stamina is the absolute minimum. But if you go up to a 96, you'll see that you get all of these badges gold. And for 3 extra points towards stamina, that's not going to cost you much. That's going to be like maybe a couple points off your free throw, or maybe literally 1 attribute off of perimeter defense or 3 mid-range, whatever. So you guys can definitely afford to go to a 96 stamina, as it's one of the cheapest attributes that you can have. All right, and that has been my sweet spot for attributes in NBA 2K24 for Season 1. Now, please keep in mind that this, again, is for Season 1. And with the patches and updates and hot fixes as we go throughout, 2K24, some of these sweet spots might change. They might differ. Ball handle might be, this sweet spot for now, but then it might be something different in season 3 or season 4. So do keep that in mind when you are, using these videos or whatever to make your build or play around and tinker around in the builder. I hope this video will help you guys with your future builds. I know a lot of you guys probably already have your builds made, but this video is just to let you realize, if you screwed up on your first build or your second build, or you're just thinking about making a new build for Rebirth, these are just the sweet spots that you should keep in mind when you're playing around in that builder, just so you don't make a mistake and miss out on a badge or anything like that. I know I kind of missed out on 1 or 2 badges for my first build, so I want to make sure that my second and my third build come out exactly how I want it. So hopefully this video help you guys in doing so. It's been your boy Make America Lit. Please be sure to drop a like, comment, and subscribe for more NBA 2K24 content. I'm out, y'all. Peace.